And that's a really bad thing, because then you start getting cynical and you don't want to change anything.
I kind of wanted to cover that a little bit, because, okay, just to explain, I'm not going to explain in detail.
Okay, we're almost near an hour, so keep going.
I'm not going to explain in detail some of it, but character changes. Like, Brad, for example.
Lewis,
yeah. Brad started out, I'm not going to go into how he started out when we first started RPing, because that wasn't even correct. That wasn't even how I saw him then. Brad started out as being...
that was just the awkwardness of roleplay.
Yeah, he started out being kind of nerdy, kind of quiet. Not really quiet, but just kind of childish in a certain way. He was very creative, kind of spastic creativity bouts. Usually building things, usually tinkering around his workshop and things like that. When we brought in, 5 and 9, all of a sudden he's got 2 best friends, because these guys, they all tinker and they all build things and they all like working with their hands. So
and then suddenly he becomes the most outgoing person on the planet.
And so him and them get along, so well.
I'm gonna follow Jarek around and risk my head being chopped off.
Jarek shows up, and with Jarek's interest in planes and stuff,
Brad kind of settles down a bit.
Yeah, basically with Jarek's interest in planes and stuff, Brad was immediately interested. And then when Brad finds out Jarek's backstory, Brad's got this thing. When
bittersweet.
Yeah, but Brad's got this thing. When it comes to movies that we're watching, because we've actually had a couple RPs where we watch a movie and we have the Stitch ones to watch with us.
Yeah, that's just when we're at a block. We just watch a movie.
And so one of the things that Brad usually does is he'll when we get to a certain point in the movie, if it's something where the villain's winning, he usually yells, "It's not fair!" And now Brad's if he was a human, he'd be in his 20s or so, but he has a lot of naive, childlike tendencies. So when he first hears Jarek's backstory, he actually cries, and he's like, "That's not fair." And he got really upset about this concept that this person's,
And then let's have a bright idea. Let's go talk to him.
And so basically, they've been trying to they've been trying to drag this guy out. So a lot of the characters can go on and talk to him, and Jarek was, rabid, foaming at the mouth. Please just leave me the hell alone. And then Brad shows up, and Brad starts pestering the shit out of him, and annoying the hell out of him. But Jarek tolerates it for some reason, which I'm not going to explain why, but Jarek does tolerate him. And through Brad's interactions with Jarek, Brad changes somewhat.
And then how Brad changes, Jarek changes.
And when the crew comes in, when his actual crew comes in, Brad changes more, because Brad suddenly has a crew of people that he identifies with more. And so just like somebody who's trying to fit in, you sort of change your attitude to match the people that you're trying to fit in with. So Brad actually, and I didn't intend for this to happen at all. I didn't intend for Brad to change, but he did. Dickens started changing when she started identifying more with 5, hanging around with 2, hanging around with other people in the group. Wagner softened up when he started hanging around with Dabney and other people.
And I mean, like Jarek, you come through the whole introduction of Jarek, you get this feeling like nothing's going to break this guy, because he shoves everything away.
Yeah.
And then they find his brother, and he just breaks down completely. You would never guessed it was Jarek at all.
And, Hemingway started out as a very morose individual. I mean, when I say morose, I do mean depressed to the point of almost suicide with the way that he was acting. And due to things that occur in the comic, his attitude changes. He gets more back to his old self. And Dickens has the same sort of turnaround. The Eve Punks are... it's not really gone into... I haven't really talked about this, but the Eve Punks are a very broken crew. And their whole history and stuff, it's not as traumatizing as you would think. I mean, they didn't have half of their cast killed off. They didn't have... But because they've been together so long, and because they've been interacting with only each other for so long, certain things occurred between them that actually pretty much broke down their social structure. And it became these... with some of them it's grudges, with some of them it's things that occurred that just traumatize them to the point where they can't handle it anymore, and they don't feel like they can talk to each other about it, and I feel like it's things that shouldn't be said. And with the introduction of other people that they can talk to, this changes. And so this influx of other characters is sort of how they fix each other. And it's kind of how it all comes about, is that with each crew that's introduced, they have problems. And with each crew that's introduced, with the way they interact with each crew that's already there, I mean, it fixes them in some small way.
It's not like we're throwing machines in just to make an event happen. The machines are very rarely there. You more experience a lot of the Chimera, and even then, the dramatizing action that happens, you don't see as much as. Because most of the time, it's social interactions and actual problems in the past that are currently affecting the present.
Exactly. Things that have occurred in the past affecting the characters in the present. I mean, you know, we've talked on here and other places about how every character has a sob story. Every character has a sad background or a sad past or tragic incident that occurs. I mean, look at the canon characters. Half the freaking cast dies. But
thanks, 9.
Yeah, over half the cast dies. But it's one of those things where working within that concept, we can fix problems with interaction and have the characters learn from each other.
Okay, so I think we're done with that because we're well over an hour.
I think we have thoroughly answered this question.
All right, so Alchemist, yay. Yeah, it's questions to answer, and none of it helped you at all.
Hopefully you can take something away from that.
Yeah, so anyway, we're going to move on to the next question, which was brought up by Stitch Girl, which is kind of fucking amusing, so we're going to go ahead and take that question. So, let's go. Bye!
Bye!